The terrorist suspected of orchestrating last week's attacks in Paris is dead. Officials confirmed today Abdelhamid Abbaoud was killed in Wednesday's bloody 7-hour police raid in Saint-Denis, a suburb north of Paris that was turned into a war zone.
His body was so riddled with bullets that it took nearly a day for experts to confirm his identity. At least one other person was killed in that raid, and 8 were arrested. Jonathan Vigliotti is in Paris now with the latest. Jonathan, hello. Can you tell us more about this raid that killed this suspected organizer, the head man who organized these attacks in Paris?
Yeah, Abdelhamid Abbaoud. The plans for this raid, the blueprints, were carefully drafted by police. Officials say they knew Abbaoud was hiding out inside based on text messages and based on eyewitness accounts. We also know that police expected to have a heavy presence of gunfire and explosions when they arrived. And of course, that is exactly what happened and unfolded when police arrived in Saint-Denis earlier that morning yesterday. We arrived about 2 hours later after all of this initially started, and there were still at that point hundreds of police officers and troops on the ground. There was still an active raid 2 hours later still underway along with that standoff. When all was said and done, we're talking about 5,000 rounds of ammunition that police say they fired. And of course, there was this female suicide bomber that blew herself up, and now another suspect inside that apartment building that was shot and killed by snipers. Now this afternoon, we are finally learning the identity of that suspect. The prosecutor saying during a press conference that it was a fingerprint that led them to connect that body to that of the identity of Abbaoud. And we are learning about how he was killed. Police saying when they arrived inside of that apartment, they found his body riddled with bullets. We also know a little bit more about the suicide bomber. Police saying she was a cousin of Abbaoud's. We should point out 8 people were taken into custody during that raid. At this point, their identity, their connection, their possible connection to Friday's attacks at this point, still unclear as the investigation still very much fluid this evening.
Jonathan Vigliotti in Paris with us. Thank you so much for that information and that update.